What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome to Kimberly Epphones' first tarot reading. I got my very first deck, Tarot of the Divine. Now, this is going to be a lot different from doing Kimberly Epphones' The Shuffle, which was specifically guided towards playing the card game known as the NWO Deluxe Edition by Steve Jackson Games. And that's like an NWO thing that sort of makes a mockery out of world events, but I look at it as almost like a Simpsons situation. It predicts certain things, and I just find it really ironic that one of the last cards I remember in that game was like all hell was breaking loose in politics, and like people were rioting, and you can see a lot of that going on right now. It's like Steve Jackson Games, the NWO Deluxe Edition, predicted that, which is kind of weird. Anyways, I'm going to get into my very first tarot reading. It's going to be just a general reading, but it could be somewhat symbolic regarding anybody who's under spiritual warfare or experiencing backlash from somebody who dabbles in dark energies. I can't make that shit up. That's just the energy I'm picking up on. Now, with that being said, I don't believe in meddling around with dark energy myself. And I would like to ask the Most High God, creator of the universe, angels and ancestors who watch over me at this time, to protect me and banish all dark energies from my aura and my life and my situation. Now, this is a collective reading, but it may be targeted towards people who play around with dark energy because I was getting like a lot of that sent my way. And I just find it interesting how tarot opened up my spirituality to an entirely different way of seeing the way the world works, as well as my spiritual beliefs. So I'm going to ring the bell here. I'm going to ring the bell, but I don't do it with the intention of like gaslighting somebody or wishing them bad. So let's get down like Charlie Brown. Now, forgive me, guys. I'm an amateur at this. I don't really know what I'm doing. So one thing I find interesting is that when I got out these cards, 4 fell on the ground immediately. So those are the first 4 I'm going to go with. Then I'm going to draw 3 more after that. So we're going to draw a total of 7 cards. Now, these came out on the floor. And the very first card that came out here is the Sun. Now, this could relate to both my situation as well as other people's situations. Like I said, it's a collective reading, a general reading. Let me look up what the Sun means here because I don't even know what it means. Bear with me, guys. I got this guidebook here. I'm looking up the meaning now. Egyptian deity. The sun is success, confidence after passing through difficult times. Egyptian sun god Ra proves everything is illuminated with optimism and enthusiasm for the path ahead. Upright, it is satisfaction, accomplishment, joy, luck, and vitality. Reversed, it is missed opportunities, delays, doubt, fear of missing out, and depression. Now for me, I'm feeling really good myself, and this came out in the upright when I dropped it. Like I said, it relates to both me, my energy, as well as people who dabble in dark energies because they're sending dark energies my way. But the fact that it came out in the upright, I'm picking up on the energy that I have a bright future ahead of me and I don't see me going down or anything happen to me anytime soon. And I believe all hardships are temporary, but nobody is immune to the trials and tribulations of life. The next card that came out in the upright is Judgment. Ooh-wee. So what does judgment mean? This is Chinese mythology. The Monkey King. Judgment is the reckoning and ending before the start of a new journey. Past actions and decisions determine future events. If you haven't learned your lessons, you are doomed to repeat your mistakes over and over. Upright, it means improvement, forgiveness, a change of perspective, absolution, and rebirth. Reversed, it means oppression, lack of self-awareness, failure, repeated mistakes, self-loathing. Now, these are all emotions that I used to dabble in myself, and they consume me because I'm gonna, I guess, partly blame people sending energy work my way, but a good majority of it was just me needing to change, to face my shadow, to look within and heal my wounds. And I was able to do that and heal from past traumas and hardships. Now, since this came out in the upright, it represents improvement, forgiveness, a change of perception, absolution, and rebirth. I mean, when I went through, I guess what they call a dark night of the soul from 2017 to probably about 2024 on and off, I learned a lot about myself, and I became more confident. I became more passionate about what I do, and I wanted to continue going despite what anybody said or did. I've definitely improved. Forgiveness is something I always work for, but some people don't deserve to be forgiven if they choose to repeat the same behavioral patterns, which in the reverse, this judgment card represents oppression, lack of self-awareness, and failure. See, it's like these guys keep sending me dark energies to oppress me, but they lack self-awareness themselves. And the failure is their repeated mistakes of sending me that, expecting an outcome, and then self-loathing that I keep leveling up and doing better for myself. And I'm not even like wishing bad things for these people, but they just refuse to leave me alone. And I invite you to take this reading with a grain of salt, but be open to embracing change like the way I changed my life around, the way I changed my thoughts and my actions going forward. Because if somebody was sending me dark energy every day, it would be easy for me to say, I'm going to do the same thing that guy does and send him dark energy. But the only thing I've ever done when I communicate to the energies of the universe is basically tell the universe to send back whatever was sent my way. And I'm not dabbling in dark energies at all. But the judgment card is quite interesting since somebody called judgment on me multiple times, unjustly. And the fact that we had a little bit of a meeting in the reverse represents the unjust judgment that was called upon me, but upright, it represents the opportunity for people who judge me that sort of way to be open to a new way of thinking, not to let go of everything they feel regarding me, I guess, but just to move forward anyways, because I know when some people did me so dirty, I could never forgive them or move forward. I don't know what the fuck I did to piss people off so much, but life does go on, and you don't have to hold grudges every day of your life. Unless you're like me and a veterinarian's business took out one of your animals. In that case, I want to become the business owner so I can demolish it. But with that being said, we got one more card in the upright that was on the floor, and then we have one in the reverse. So this one is the world. Let me look up what the world means here. Ironic that the world came out right after judgment, and when I'm looking it up in my guidebook, it's like the next one right over. The world is the happily ever after ending following a difficult journey. Represents the victorious conclusion, a positive outcome most desired. However, a conclusion also heralds the start of a new journey. Upright, it represents completion, recognition, fulfillment, triumph, and celebration. Okay, I'm going to choose to take in that energy a little bit myself because I've been through much and have overcome so many obstacles intentionally placed in my life that I believe whatever cycles that I were supposed to complete have been completed. Since this is upright, it represents the completion. The recognition represents that somebody who's placing blockages in my life should not be able to do that anymore because I'm being recognized regardless, but it just makes them look like a liar if they try to manipulate systems in order to keep me down. Fulfillment represents me working hard on my talent and skill to come to a conclusion that I am good enough, no matter what anybody says, and envy and jealousy is not something that consumes me. Triumph and celebration. This could be a win for everybody involved, not just me. It's about letting things go, moving forward, seeing things from a different perspective. Now, in the reverse, maybe you're not ready to do that. It represents imperfection, disappointment, shortcuts, short-sightedness, and anxiety. These are definitely energies that I've noticed with people who are jealous and envious regarding me. It is their imperfections that leads them to a disappointing outcome because they take shortcuts in order to try and get a level up off me, but it's not happening. You're not leveling up off me, and I know my worth. I recognize my talent and skill. My work speaks for itself. And the short-sightedness and anxiety represents people being nervous that I understand that they're sending me dark energies, that I understand the injustices done to me, but I'm willing to move forward. And I've said the same thing 100 times. I'm willing to move forward, and if you choose to not take accountability and you're protected some sort of way from being held accountable, that's on you. And that's just something I'm going to have to learn to deal with as well. Now, we've got one more card that came out in the reverse. This is the Ace of Cups. So what does that mean? Let me look it up here. The Ace of Cups marks a new beginning, a reason to drink and be merry, and to be open to subconscious feelings. Sake is a drink of the gods, bringing people closer to the spirit world. Reversed, it represents relationship problems, depression, sadness, creative block, and repression. Now, even though this came out in the reverse, the fact that it came out in the reverse represents relationship problems. People holding grudges against me just due to their own emotional baggage and bullshit, petty shit that doesn't even pertain to me, shit that's not my fault, and shit that I can't control. That's on them. The relationship is destroyed. The problem itself is that you may have done too much to fuck with me, and there is no repair beyond that. The depression represents your lack of control and your lack of ability to be able to control me. Sadness represents you're sad that you couldn't get a level up off me. Boo-hoo, I've had to work for everything I ever did, and nobody ever handed me shit. Creative block represents somebody running out of ideas. That's kind of ironic considering people love to play in my energy so much, but if you really step into your true power, you don't have to borrow energy from anybody. You have to look within, awaken yourself, and when you awaken yourself, that creative block you have, your creative abilities, they will be enhanced. And I know this because I've alchemized dark energy before. Now in the upright, which it didn't come out, I'm just going to read it anyways. It represents happiness, love, intimacy, new emotions, and compassion. I'm feeling pretty happy myself. It's hard to love people when they always show you hate, but I'm loving on myself for what it's worth. Intimacy is not something I rock with. I'm celibate. New emotions and compassion. I've always found that compassion bites me in the ass when I show it, because even when you show people compassion, they don't show you it back often. So that's kind of a thing, but new emotions for me is not giving a fuck what people say or think anymore. Now I'm going to draw the next 3 cards from the top of the deck, okay? We have the Moon card. The Moon is a very powerful card, right? The Moon is the subconscious and all its illusions, potential pitfalls, and the possibility of self-deception. Shape-shifting, raccoon-like animals each stare at a different moon, though it is not clear which is the real one. Reversed, it represents joy, enlightenment, resolution, deception revealed, and relief. Upright, it represents trickery, anguish, illusion, and insecurity. Well, since we're just drawing it right off the top of the deck, I'm interpreting it as a reversed. And the joy just represents being happy with what you have. Like, you don't have to go out of your way to compare yourself to other people and feel like you have less because you're looking at somebody else. That is the spirit of envy and jealousy, that Leviathan spirit, and that will consume you if you allow it to. Enlightenment and resolution represents opening your mind up to a new perspective and coming to a resolution. The resolution being you cannot do the same thing 5,000 times and expect the same result. And each time you do it and it fails, that should be an indicator of your behavior not being right and needing to improve or do better. Deception revealed. For me, I've seen a lot of deceptive people, and they've messed with me a lot and been very conniving and deceptive towards me. But that's something I've woken up to, and ever since I could do that, I can sense out people's energy now. Like, you can't lie to me. So you might as well just come correctly or not come at all. But if this is relating to anybody else, since it relates to me a lot, the deception might be you being the deception artist. If you're the person sending out that dark energy, we got to cleanse that shit, baby. Ring the bell, y'all. Ring the bell. I don't wish anybody bad, but it is what it is. In relief, just be relieved in the fact that cycles close and come to an end. I've closed my cycle so many times that no matter how much somebody tries to force feed a closed out cycle, they cannot alter fate or change destiny. Destiny is not something that is pre-written for us. Destiny is what the universe is giving to us. Destiny is what the creator of the universe intends for you. And that cannot be altered no matter how power hungry or greedy somebody is. I'm going to pull the next card here. We have the Star. I can relate to that. I feel like I'm the star. And I've had people tell me before, hey man, you want to rock with me because I'm the star. But I think the whole time people knew I was the star, and they knew more about me than what they were letting on. I didn't even know myself that much back then. Let's read what it means. The star is a symbol of hope after a disaster, the need to remain positive after misfortune, to remember that things can get better again. It is staying calm and open to future possibilities, seeing your situation with open eyes, mind, and heart. Reversed, it represents crushed dreams, insecurity, despair, dejection, and exhaustion. Now, these are all things I've experienced throughout my entire life. But a lot of the times it was somebody with a malicious energy and evil intentions towards me, trying to alter my destiny and change the outcome so that they can have it for themselves. And that's not how life works. I'm sorry to break it to you. But anyways, so we're drawing the star. It's only in the reverse because I'm drawing it off the top of the deck like this, but I've learned a lot from having these obstacles intentionally placed in my life, and I've overcome them. And if you're having obstacles from expecting a level up off me or anybody else because you meddle with dark energy, that could be a learning lesson for you. And I always encourage people to take learning lessons and use them to improve and make positive changes in their lives. Upright, it could represent trickery, anguish, illusion, and insecurity. I don't lie to people, I don't try to manipulate them, and I come correctly, because the way I see it is, if you can't come correctly, don't come at all. Being the trickster does nobody any good, especially yourself. And just refer to that reversal, the meaning of that again, because you want to get into the energy of joy, enlightenment, resolution, and relief. You don't want to be in this trickery energy of anguish, trying to always cast illusions and feeling insecure, because so-called powerful people live under the illusion of being powerful. But where their power comes short is that they're actually insecure, because a confident person who has stepped into their power is not focusing on attacking people all the time. Somebody who needs to take power and try and hoard it, try and change other people's lives, try and affect other people's lives, cast judgment on innocent people who don't deserve it. That is just a recipe for disaster, and you can take that all the way to Chef Boyardee's laboratory. I can't make it up, y'all. I can't make it up. We got one last card off the top. Oh, the Tower. Nobody likes to hear the Tower. The Tower is about feeling safe and secure before everything is suddenly upended. Beliefs are shattered, understandings ruptured, and everything is destroyed right down to the very foundation. Perhaps the foundation was flawed to begin with. I mean, I've been talking about this stuff almost every day when I post things on the YouTube or any other social media. I discuss people building foundations off of being crooked, evil, and deceptive, and that when you build things like that, it's not really a way to manifest long-term success, in my opinion. Now, maybe people will say, have you seen my Ferrari? I can prove you wrong with that. I've done a lot of shady shit to fuck people over. Okay, but how do you feel about that? Because I've listened to some very rich people openly state in interviews that they're miserable as fuck with all that money they have. So why are you so fucking miserable? Was it the poor decisions you made in your past to fuck people over to get where you are? Because I'll tell you what, when it pertains to me, I'm not fucking anybody over. I built this shit, and I've got whatever is coming to me, I deserve it. But the tower in reverse represents feeling trapped, delaying disaster, fear of pain, and avoidance. Now, this is an energy I've always been stuck in. This is a collective reading. This is a general reading. Even though I'm sort of like, I'm tapping into the energy at the same time I'm doing the reading for you guys. I can relate to it. Some of it relates to me, especially when people are sending dark energy my way. And the fact that the tower's coming out, it could be somewhat symbolic. Anyway, it's reversed, feeling trapped, delaying disaster, fear of pain, and avoidance. I'll tell you what, when I've experienced towers in my life like this, the only way to accept it and move forward was to own up that, okay, I did some things that I fucked up with. Even though people lied on me, they twisted the narrative, and they made it out to be something it wasn't by abusing my story, to capitalize off of my power, to lie about my story, to tell lies on me, and to convince an entire crowd that I'm something I'm not. That is honestly somebody just building a tower for themselves naturally. And they might not get the tower for 3 years, 5 years, whatever. I'll tell you, when I started getting these continuous towers around 2017, I was just getting tower after tower after tower. And now that I've stepped into my power and I know who I am, I feel like the tower's coming back to those who send dark energy my way. Like, you don't get it. Like, these people seem strung out on drugs. They're not grasping the concept of you're going to catch a tower if you try to prosecute innocent people. If you cast judgment on the innocent, like, you're going to get a tower. That's universal law. That's the way I'm interpreting it. Wouldn't it be nice to have massive change? I know I've already changed. I know I've created changes in my life. I know I'm seeing growth on my channel. I know that I've really got something powerful that I'm building here. And I recognize and understand my worth. Do you know how much work I had to go through to get to that point? I encourage you guys to take a learning lesson from this. I hope this reading was beneficial to you, and I hope that the way I tell my story can give you a fresh perspective on how you see things, whether you meddle with dark energy or not, whether you're a fan of me or you're a hater of me. I hope this helps you see things from a different perspective. And the tower, unfortunately, is not a very pleasant thing to experience, but it's something you're going to have to deal with. Like my grandfather said, you make your bed, you lie in it. So that was my very first tarot reading with my divine deck.